Hey, what is happening, everybody? Welcome back to Ro2R Review, and holy freaking smokes, that Nintendo Direct was insane. So yes, it is February 13th, 2019, and the Nintendo Direct that happened today just wrapped up about an hour and a half ago. And I've got a lot to say, man. There is a lot to talk about and to go over and recap and discuss. And obviously, every YouTuber and their mother makes these videos. We all make predictions videos and we all make recap videos. And it is what it is. I think that most of you guys out there appreciate that. I know a lot of people have laughs over how common it is for everyone to do this stuff, but this is what we do, man. It's fun. We're fans. I'm a huge fan. And that Nintendo Direct, it was all over the place, man. I gotta tell you. And I'm also gonna keep it real with you guys. I truly think that was one of the best Nintendo Directs I've ever seen. Now, full disclosure, when I say that, it's also kind of interesting because there was a lot in that Nintendo Direct that didn't even really interest me. There was a lot of stuff, a lot of games that don't really appeal to the kind of things that I like. But the fact that I can still look at the overall presentation, the amount of games, the kinds of games, the big reveals, and the stuff that I am into, I mean, it's almost overwhelming. That has to be one of the most packed Nintendo Directs. I mean, I was looking at my notes I was taking throughout so I could make this video and discuss it, looking at my notes now, organizing it as I'm getting ready here to now record with you guys, and it's like, dude, there were so many games, so many announcements, so much stuff discussed. I just can't believe it. And so, anyway, I should kind of stop from the gushing, but if you can't tell, I really thought it was that good of a Nintendo Direct. Now, of course, part of every Nintendo Direct is the reaction, and the fact that many people will say, yay, I loved this Nintendo Direct, it was every single thing I ever wanted, and then the people who will say, boo, it was a terrible Nintendo Direct, it didn't have every single thing I wanted, it wasn't catered just to me, one of the 7 billion peoples on this planet, and so clearly it was a terrible Nintendo Direct, and there's very rarely anyone in the middle. And I think that that's a shame. I think that it shows that everyone kind of has tunnel vision and people aren't really able to look at the broader scope of things. Which is why, you know, like my opinion kind of suggested, I'm someone who probably is only actively interested in and planning on purchasing half of the games shown today. But the fact that the other half of the games, I can tell, are quality, they're interesting to people, they have huge audiences, that matters. And so I can look at a game that Rob doesn't plan on buying and still see it as a good game, a game that people care about, and a game that when you add it to a console's library shows just how strong it is. And so that's kind of my whole perspective here. And so here's the thing, when I talk about how not every game was for me and yada yada, I think that the main thing I took away from at least the first half of this Direct is that it was very, very heavily focused on JRPGs for the most part. And I'm not the biggest JRPG guy. You guys have heard me say it. There are some that I like. I love all the Xenoblade games. I love Octopath Traveler. I loved Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube, and I liked Tales of Symphonia 2 on the Wii. I didn't love Part 2, but I thought it was okay. And that's kind of, for the most part, as far as my JRPG fanship goes. And in today's Nintendo Direct, they spent a lot of time on JRPG stuff. They spent so much time on Dragon Quest, holy smokes. Dragon Quest 11, which is like a game that already released last year on the PS4. They spent like 5 or some odd minutes on that game today, detailing the Switch version and the fact that there are some notable differences. So this Dragon Quest 11S or whatever it's called, seems to have a lot of cool stuff. One of my buddies is freaking out over the fact that they added the 16-bit mode to it, which as far as I can tell was, I think, supposed to just be the 3DS version, and maybe they combined it into this. I don't know. I don't follow the JRPG stuff, and I don't follow Dragon Quest, so forgive me for that. The point is, they spent a lot of time on 11, that Dragon Quest Builders game, they spent a lot of time on that, and then they detailed a couple of, like, weird sort of one-off, offshoot, smaller JRPG games and some remasters, like Rune Factory stuff, this Onikani game, or what is it? Okinaki? I think it's Okinaki. You know, that game, and some other stuff, and again, games that I fully accept people are super into and are going to enjoy, and I think that that's awesome. But all of that time early on that they were spending on those things, I was like, well, this stuff's cool, but I'm not really seeing anything for me. And so that was really the first half. But again, it picked up a lot in the second half. And by the time it finished, I mean, it finished with a bang, with 2 bangs, actually. And to me, that made it all worthwhile. So I'll go ahead and run through the stuff that I found interesting to me. I'm not going to cover every single game and announcement. I'm not really going to spend time on the stuff that isn't interesting to me. I want to talk about the stuff that I found interesting and notable. And so if we kind of move through the Direct, obviously we have to talk about the very first thing that was revealed, and it was Mario Maker 2. Holy cow, this game is real. A Mario Maker is coming to the Switch, and it's not a port like some people have been asking for or expecting a port of the first Mario Maker. It is a legit sequel, Super Mario Maker 2. And, you know, full transparency with you guys, I'm not into this. I have the first Mario Maker. It's an incredible achievement. I love what they did with the building mechanics. I think it's an incredible tool for creativity, and I love that it is perfect for that, and they love it, and they're very good at making levels. Like, I think that's great, but it's not an experience I care about. I didn't have really a lot of fun with Mario Maker. I never made a single level. I'm not interested in making levels. And so I was really just trying to enjoy playing the levels that, you know, already existed and the ones that other people built, and I just didn't really have a lot of fun with that. So Mario Maker is an experience that's not for me. It's not for Rob. And watching Mario Maker 2, I feel the same. I mean, I didn't feel anything because it's like, oh, this is a huge announcement and this is great, but I don't care. I am not going to be picking up Mario Maker 2. That being said, again, this is massive. This is going to be a humongous seller. My younger brother regrets the fact that he never played Mario Maker on the Wii U and is like over the moon that a Mario Maker 2 is coming out for the Switch. So I know that a lot of people are going to pick this up. People who loved the first one and people who never played the first one but are excited now with their new Switch to get a Mario Maker experience. And it did show people using the touchscreen, so clearly you're going to be able to use, you know, probably a controller on the TV or use the touchscreen when it's in your hand. I think that that's fantastic because the touchscreen obviously made the experience for the first one. And then, of course, the other notable thing is that they showed the Mario 3D World graphics engine. So even though it's in 2D, we have like the catsuit Mario and those kind of graphics, which is a little bit better than the new Super Mario Bros. Stuff. So they're obviously adding some bells and whistles, and I've seen people talk about some of the new building mechanics they noticed from the trailer, stuff that I wouldn't be familiar with because I just really didn't get into the first one, and I don't plan on picking this one up. But let's be real here. This game is coming out in June, just a couple of months. What an incredibly strong way to start off this Direct with a game that everyone is going to be hyped for, and that will be a humongous success. After that, they also talked about Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which it's really cool to see Nintendo talking about this. This is a game I'm very excited for. They confirmed or basically said that right now it is planning on coming out in the summer, so also not too far away from now. That game should be releasing in maybe around the first half of the year. And they confirmed that Captain Marvel's going to be, you know, featured very heavily in the game, which is great because the movie's coming out in just a couple months. Or actually, I'm sorry, just a month, actually. Captain Marvel comes out. Obviously, Avengers will be coming out a month after that. So there's a lot of Marvel hype going on this year, and this game is going to build off of it perfectly. They also confirmed that you could do local co-op with 4 Switches in the same room, or you can go online and play this game with anyone. And that was a huge thing to have confirmed. I think a lot of us kind of expected it. From my memory, I don't know if you could do that with the first 2 games in the 7th gen, but I also may be wrong, and maybe you could. I only played them locally with my roommates. But either way, this is going to be a huge game. I'm extremely excited for it. I loved seeing the online play, and that's coming out in the summer. And another game confirmed for summer that I am also very excited for is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. Or sorry, Ritual of the Night. Curse of the Moon was the 8-bit one from last year. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. The game that we have been waiting for forever, you guys. This game was supposed to come out in like 2016, I think, and then it got delayed to 2017, and then 2018, 2019, and right now, according to Nintendo in this Direct, it should be coming out also in the summer. A lot of games confirmed for summer today, which is really exciting. And, you know, hey, I'm a simple man. I like 2D games. I like action platformer games. I like Castlevania games. And Bloodstained is really just kind of a love letter to all of those. I like the art style. It's coming from the guy responsible for some of the classic Castlevania games. And I love that it's going to be on my Switch, on all platforms, but of course, portably on the Switch. And, you know, after what feels like 100 years of waiting, it's supposed to come out in the summer. Character customization, a lot of level up that they showed, leveling up and experience points. It's just, I don't know. It's just everything I want out of a simple 2D game, so I am super pumped for that. Then we got another one of the big daddies, the big features that we were all waiting for. They spent like, I don't know, 5 or maybe even 10 minutes on Fire Emblem 3 Houses. And it's interesting because they really didn't detail a lot of the stuff I wanted them to about the game. I mean, I guess in a lot of ways they sort of did. Like, they mostly spent time on the story, the context of what 3 Houses means, the kind of characters you're going to get to know and how they're going to relate to each other. That was the majority of the presentation. And while they featured a couple of gameplay snippets of the new stuff that they've thrown in, they really didn't talk about that. And I kind of think that was disappointing because, yeah, the story and the relationships of Fire Emblem is important, and it is one of the main hooks to the game, and I like that stuff, but I also just like playing it. I just like the combat. I like the strategy of it. I like finding out, I wanted to find out what is all the new stuff that we're going to be able to physically do in this game. Not so much the context of the story. You know, I wanted some of that, but they spent literally all of their time on that. But hey, it was good to find out. We know that 3 houses essentially refers to 3 different schools, and we've seen, you know, footage of someone running around what looks like a castle. We now know that that castle is essentially your university. So it seems like you pick the school you want, and the relations you get into have to do with your fellow students, and then of course you build bonds with your students, which become the people of your house or your university that then are at war with other houses and universities. And so it's that whole kind of thing, and I like that. It's very different from what previous games have done, but I think that it's a pretty cool way to change the formula, or at least the nature of the story, I should say. And like I said, they did certainly show some snippets of that combat. I loved seeing what they're allowing us to do, sending hordes of enemies, hordes of your own soldiers over at your enemies at once. Like, that kind of stuff is really cool, man. And I want to see more what the battling actually looks like. So hopefully we get more information probably at E3 about that. They did confirm the date, July 26th. Of course, he was saying, oh, we told you it was going to be spring, but we needed a little bit more time. And so, I don't know. To me, that's not a big deal at all. July 26th, what is it, like a 2-month delay? It's still coming out this year in the next couple of months. Seems like, you know, we got Octopath Traveler last year, a JRPG game in July. And this year, we get Fire Emblem, another JRPG-ish strategy game coming out in July. So, hey, man, if we can expect great games like this every July for Nintendo, I think that's pretty cool. So, obviously, Fire Emblem is going to be amazing, and it comes out in July. They also did talk about Daemon X Machina. Finally, it was so good to finally get some more information on this game, and it was pretty solid information, man. We saw more incredible gameplay. We heard more of that awesome metal music. I love that it's got its kick-ass metal soundtrack to it, but the gameplay and the visuals look so good for this game, you guys. I'm very excited for it. I love everything going on with it, and they confirmed, you know, a release window, another game for summer right now. There's so many great games listed for summer. So Daemon X Machina still on track for this year, coming out in the next few months in the summer. And there's a demo that's going to be made available. So that is really awesome. I mean, this game is obviously trucking along. If they plan on releasing it this year, that's amazing. It's another huge exclusive third-party win for the Switch this year in 2019. So I'm super pumped for that. And speaking of third-party wins, one of the biggest shockers was Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice announced for the Switch and coming in the spring. Like, even that's even sooner. That's like literally like 2 months from now. That is so surprising. I think most of us never thought that would happen for 2 reasons. One, it just kind of seemed like the game, like a game that wouldn't really run on the Switch, or the developer would never think about bringing it to the Switch. The other thing is that's a Ninja Theory game, and Ninja Theory was recently purchased by Microsoft. So, you know, there's probably a couple of reasons why maybe Microsoft is allowing that to happen, or maybe this was in the works for so long that even with the purchase, they couldn't back out, so the game still legally has to release on the Switch. But I just feel like, you know, Microsoft might be like, hey, it's cool, like, Nintendo's cool, we put Minecraft on it, so we'll just put Hellblade. Like, we still make money off of it, so why not do it? And Nintendo's obviously like, hell yeah, put your game on our console. So, you know, I never played Hellblade. I really, really want to. I know it's already available on, you know, PC, PS4, and Xbox One. So I do want to play it. Maybe I'll get it on the Switch. Maybe I'll get it somewhere else. But either way, you know, what a cool win. What a cool game to be seeing come to the Switch, man. This was an amazing announcement. 2 other notable third-party games that they announced that were also surprising is Unravel 2 coming on March 22nd. That is so cool that Unravel is coming. Everyone was like, when the sequel was announced, it's like, hey, why wouldn't you bring this to the Switch? It's obviously perfect for the Switch. And so now they are. It's coming on March 22nd. And then Assassin's Creed 3, the remaster. That was a game that had been heavily rumored for the last few weeks. They also confirmed that that's something coming out this year as well. And I mean, that's all great. And then we come to the finale, the last 2 big games that I personally was invested in and really cared about. Everyone lost their minds for this, man. The first one is going to be Astral Chain. They confirmed this new Platinum Studios game exclusively for the Switch that looks out of this world, man. And I'll tell you, when I was watching this trailer, I was thinking, before they confirmed anything about it, and it was just a bunch of random shots of people like in, you know, cybernetic like space cop uniforms or whatever doing all this crazy, and this big monster shows up. I was like, man, you know, it looks like a Platinum game. This feels like it would be Platinum Studios, man. Like, I didn't really expect it to be. I was trying to see if this was like a remake of something, or if this was a new game, and if this was going to be as epic as a Platinum Studios game or something else. And sure enough, from Platinum, as soon as Hideki Kamiya's name came up, I was like, oh man, it's a Platinum game. And Astral Chain, an awesome, amazing, out-of-this-world, typical Platinum action game. You know, just like their best games like Bayonetta. It operates just like games like Devil May Cry. It just looks beautiful, man. And it's crazy because a lot of the art style reminds me of Code Vein. And it makes me realize, man, that game also needs to be confirmed for the Switch. I don't know why we haven't seen Code Vein coming over yet, but I'm still very much excited for that game. But either way, Astral Chain looks awesome, and oh my goodness, it's August 30th. It's already got a date. Platinum was ready to go with this game. Nintendo was ready to go. The first reveal, we're going to give them a date, and it's only going to be later in that same year. So this is a huge win, and again, it's exclusive to the Switch, so Nintendo is just killing it in that department right now. 2019 is blowing up, y'all. I mean, it is seriously blowing up. I'm so excited to see this. Now, he did touch on Bayonetta 3 and said, I hope, he basically just said, oh, I bet you're excited for Bayonetta 3. Well, you'll learn more in the future, and then just basically that's all he said. And so it's like, okay, well, they announced Astral Chain. They confirm it's coming out near the end of the year in August, or at least past halfway through the year in August. And nothing to say about Bayonetta yet, so it kind of makes me feel like, yeah, Bayonetta is obviously farther along than we think, and it's probably going to be a 2020 game. Which is sad, but to be fair, we have Astral Chain to look forward to now, so I don't mind waiting for Bayonetta 3. Make that a 2020 game at this point. There's so much on the Switch this year, so much on other consoles this year, and now we have Astral Chain, a kick-ass looking Platinum game to tide us over. That's fantastic. And then, of course, the final big cheese, the one that blew our minds, even though there were technically rumors about this as well. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is getting a remaster. Really, it's a remake, and it's also coming out in 2019. No release date, no release window, or like season. They didn't say summer, fall, holiday. They just said 2019. But even that is enough to be really exciting. And Link's Awakening, you guys, this is great because it's one of the very few Zelda games I've never, ever played. You know, they're all handheld games. Link's Awakening and the 2 Oracle games. I've never played these games. So I'm very excited to have a reason to replay it. And obviously, we all know the art style. Oh my goodness, the art style they used for this is perfect. It is beautiful. It just oozes style and like joviality right off the screen, man. It is such a great way to remake a 2D Zelda game, or a top-down Zelda game, I should say. And I mean, I don't know what to say. It's Zelda. I love Zelda. It's a game I've never played. Hooray! It's a beautiful, amazing looking remake 26 years later after the game released. I mean, it's everything it needs to be, man. And it's really showing when Nintendo decides to do an actual remake for a game, they go all out. When I think of Nintendo remakes, I think of Metroid Zero Mission, my second favorite Metroid of all time. I think of Metroid Samus Returns, which is incredible and essentially a brand new game. It was so different from the original release. It was basically a brand new game. And now, with what we're seeing here, it's almost the same thing. It is definitely, it's reminiscent of A Link Between Worlds. And I mean that in the best way possible, because that was a great way to sort of retell that style and that story and that aspect of Zelda with a newer graphic engine and still make it a sequel and not a remake of A Link to the Past. And they're doing the same thing here, even though this obviously looks much, much better than A Link Between Worlds. It's the same concept. And I mean, Link Between Worlds is amazing, obviously. So doing the same thing for Link's Awakening could not be a better choice. I am so pumped for this. It's probably going to be one of their big holiday titles. I do expect some other titles to be big holiday titles, but the fact that this didn't have a date and it didn't have a window makes me feel this could be like a big October or November game, or maybe even December, because Nintendo loves to have a big December game as well. So that's what's going on with Zelda, man. What an amazing surprise. And so that's all the stuff that I found amazing and interesting and mind-blowing or notable. And again, I know a lot of people who are probably huge JRPG fans or fans of anything. You might be saying, what about this game? What about these indie games? What about Dragon Quest? What about whatever other game? I mean, there was a lot of stuff they showed that I'm not talking about here. And like I said, it's, you know, not everything appeals to me, and I don't have a lot to say about a lot of the stuff that I'm not into and that I don't play. I don't really treat my channel like an actual news channel. I'm not so much here to just report the, read off the facts of this game was shown, and then this game, and then this game. It's more about this game was shown, and I'm excited for this reason, so let me talk about it. And then this game was shown, and it's a big deal for this reason, so let me talk about it. That's more my approach. So again, I loved the fact that so many games were shown today, and I am over the moon for all of you who had all these great games that I really am not so into. It really was an incredible Nintendo Direct. Obviously, we need to talk about the sad part here. Metroid, no Metroid Prime Trilogy. I'm a little bit surprised, I won't lie, and it's kind of getting to the point. I might have to make my own video on this, and I'll wait a while before I do. It's kind of getting to the point where even I am starting to question this thing, man. They're really making us wait for this. They are really stretching this out and dangling this carrot. And even though I've believed in the Prime Trilogy for almost 2 years, and there's been behind-the-scenes talk and rumors starting 6 months ago up until even just yesterday, it's like, where is this thing, man? Everyone keeps thinking it's going to be coming every day, and Nintendo continually doesn't show it. So I'm going to do what I said for Metroid Prime 4, and I put this on Twitter as well. At this point, for me, it's E3 or bust when it comes to the Prime Trilogy. I think we're probably, if it's real, we're not going to hear about it until E3, and if by some crazy chance E3 comes and goes and they have not talked about or confirmed or shown the Metroid Prime Trilogy, I'm going to probably think that it's just not happening, and either it was never happening or they canceled it or whatever. But you know what? That's still 6 months away, or sorry, 4 months away. So let's not jump too far ahead. I just want to say it is disappointing and sad. We got no talk of Metroid. We got no Prime Trilogy today. We're all still waiting. Those of us who want that are still waiting, and it is crushing. It is so crushing to me. It's breaking my heart because I truly thought it was going to happen today. When he announced, introduced the final game that became Link's Awakening, I was like, oh, this is it. This is it. He said, stay till the end. This is the final game. It's the final news. It's got to be Metroid Prime Trilogy. It's going to happen. And then it wasn't. It was another amazing game that I'm excited for, but not the one I've been waiting for and that a lot of us have been waiting for. And it is a shame. So either way, that being said, this was a long recap, but there was a lot to talk about. An amazing, excellent, stellar Nintendo Direct. Probably one of the top 3 or 4 we've ever seen. I loved it, even though half the games are not even interesting to me. That's how good this was. So discuss all this stuff below. What do you think about the games I talked about? What do you think about the games I didn't talk about? Did you like this Direct? Did you not? Did it work for you? Did you hate it? Whatever you feel, talk about. Share it below. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule2 Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.